Welcome. My name is Rich Fitzgerald, County Executive, Allegheny County, and we are here with the Pittsburgh CDC on a new air show that we're calling In Good Company. We're here at Molinero's in Market Square, one of the vibrant places here we have in this region. And with me today are two leaders who are very integral to the growth that we've had in Western Pennsylvania and Allegheny County and the city of Pittsburgh over the last number of years. We have Kevin McMahon, who's the CEO of the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, and we have Craig Davis from Visit Pittsburgh, bringing in all those conventions and visitors that we have coming to town year after year. So I'm going to start with Kevin. We just wrapped up, you just wrapped up Hamilton. What a win that was for Pittsburgh and the buzz around town and really all over the region about what Hamilton was for people. And maybe give us a little thumbnail sketch about how good it was for this region.
So, Rich, thank you. And I say to people, we made about 88,000 people really happy and maybe an equal number of people a little unhappy because they couldn't get tickets. But Hamilton will be coming back to our region before we know it. So we're really excited about that. But you're right. It was a great win for the city, great win for the region. Here we are in the middle of winter in downtown Pittsburgh, and bringing that kind of volume of folks that come in and spend money and enjoy themselves. It's also, let's face it, Hamilton is the biggest show right now around the country, and to have it here in Pittsburgh in the first year of its tour, it's sort of prestigious for Pittsburgh as well. A great win. Just a couple of facts. I mean, the fact that over 88,000 people saw that show during the 4 weeks that we had it here, and the economic impact of that. An interesting statistic that I've shared with a few people is that show, that one show, generated more than $800,000 in city amusement tax.
The mayor should be happy about
that. I think he is.
Well, let me back up just a minute because we talked about Hamilton, but talk more broadly about what the Cultural Trust means and what you guys do in this region.
Well, we do a lot of things, obviously, but first and foremost, the Trust was created about 30 years ago as an economic development organization, not necessarily as an arts organization. And over time, it has utilized the arts to help improve the economic vitality of our downtown, to bring people downtown. And indeed, right now, through all of our activities, utilizing and with many partners, many different partners that help us do this, we're bringing about 2.2 million people a year into downtown for ticketed events, for big festival events, similar to our Dollar Bank Three Rivers Arts Festival that the Trust produces. We just finished Highmark First Night. As Rich, you know, you were in our parade, and
it was
wonderful.
It was a big,
great weather, a little damp, but great weather.
But Craig Davis, tell us a little bit about what Visit Pittsburgh does, and kind of, again, we're talking about economic, but we're also talking about the vitality of the region and what it means, what you guys do when people come into town.
Sure. You know, we are the sales and marketing arm for Allegheny County for all intents and purposes. Our job is to bring people from the outside in to create economic development. So for us, a win is when somebody comes in from the outside, eats in our restaurants, takes advantage of our incredible arts and culture, and then they stay overnight in a hotel, which is how we get our money. That is a win for us. So our job is to derive economic impact through bringing people from the outside in and to push the Pittsburgh story to the world.
Now, you just hosted a couple of thousand, maybe almost 4,000
yes.
planners who came. Every year they go to a different city, but we were lucky enough to get them to Pittsburgh. So these are convention planners who plan other conventions on where to go.
Exactly.
What were you able to do during that time?
Well, the convention was called PCMA, otherwise known as the Professional Convention Management Association. And what they are is an association of meeting professionals, people that are in the meetings industry. So they're the ones that make the determination as to when their next convention is going to be and where it's going to take place. And for us to have them in Pittsburgh was an incredibly big win for us, because to expose Pittsburgh to somebody, and we kind of did a straw poll thinking that 60% of the people that attended had never been to Pittsburgh or haven't been to Pittsburgh in the last many years. It was a brand new eye-opening event for them. So we know that we made a lot of people very happy and opened their eyes to this incredible region.
And if I remember, you guys had Hamilton performers that were there that night because Hamilton had just opened, I guess, in the city, and it was great to hear them perform.
That was a thrill for them because, you know, we Hamilton availed themselves to us, and we brought in 4 of their main performers, and they really brought the house down. And that was a really special event for them. A lot of the planners have never seen or may never see Hamilton, and you wouldn't believe the excitement when these people came out and on stage, the performers came out on stage, they had the whole place in their hands. So it was a wonderful experience for them, and a great way to tell the Pittsburgh story to people that don't otherwise know it.
And Rich, one of the things that Craig reminds me is that the number of new people, not only from his good efforts, but in general, we had about 25% of the audience for Hamilton had never been to anything in the Cultural District before. And what we know about those people is that they come back. Over 50% of the people that first-time ticket buyers to downtown Cultural District activities return over a 5-year period. So it's a great way of increasing the pie.
So one of the things, and you bring up a good point, you as the Cultural Trust have to manage all the different entities that whether it's at the Benedum, at Heinz Hall, at the August Wilson Center, all the great venues that we have in the Cultural District. Was there a little bit of concern that people were only going to go to Hamilton and then not go to the ballet, not go to the other venues that were there? So talk about that.
Very astute comment on your part, and of course my colleagues, and the only thing I would correct is that the trust does not, we're not the czar of arts. We have a lot of partnerships. We have partnerships with our friends at the Symphony, the ballet, the opera, the Cielo Public Theater, and many other, hundreds of other arts organizations that use the Cultural District as their principal venue. But the big thing, the big win this year was that the ballet, the Pittsburgh Ballet, said that they had a record-breaking year of attendance for the Nutcracker. The same is true with the Pittsburgh Symphony. They actually knocked it out of the park with their pop series at holiday season. So in fact, it was a win-win among all of those. And of course, they enjoy the fact that 25% of those Hamilton ticket buyers had never been in the Cultural District before. So they're looking forward to selling those individuals tickets to future performances.
Well, it was interesting, as you mentioned, first night, one of the events you guys put on, it was a rainy, dreary night, and the crowd was packed. I mean, they were all on the parade route, and I think the Hamilton excitement was really buzzing. People wanted to be down there.
Because of course we opened the next day,
right,
on New Year's Day at the Benedum, and I think the fact that it was nearly 60 degrees at midnight helped a little bit too.
That didn't hurt. So Craig, what are some of the things that you need to sell, or that your sales force needs to sell for a convention to come to Pittsburgh? Is the arts part of what you do? But give us a little thumbnail sketch about how you do that.
Sure. We have incredible hotels. We have an incredible convention center. We've got a walkable city with incredible restaurants, amazing food and beverage. So Pittsburgh's a great sell in that respect. But what differentiates us from every other city that also has those wonderful things is the uniqueness of what Pittsburgh is. And it's through the arts and culture, I believe, that, and also the unique events that we have, that really set ourselves apart from everybody else. Our arts and culture, Visit Pittsburgh we don't own anything. We sell that which we have in the region. And it's through the great work of our friends at the Cultural Trust and all of our friends at the Symphony. You can name the alphabet soup. We're so glad to have that as an amenity to sell. We're nothing if it isn't for arts and culture, and that really is a distinguishing feature when people are making decisions as to whether to come to Pittsburgh for a convention or just to even come for the weekend. Pittsburgh is now a travel destination, a worldwide travel destination.
Now let's talk about the people who live in downtown, because we've seen a tremendous amount of growth in the residential occupancy of downtown Pittsburgh. So obviously the CDC is involved in a lot of that, trying to improve quality of life for the people who live here,
right,
not just the visitors. How's that interaction between the folks who, are buying condos, renting apartments, etc.? How does that work with the Cultural District?
I mean, obviously, the first great point, Rich, and the most obvious thing is that those residents are now our customers. They can walk to the theaters, and that's a big plus. But it is very much a symbiotic relationship. The reason they want to live downtown very often is because of as Craig said, the cultural amenities that they have. They want that. They want to walk there. Of course, they also have jobs. They work downtown. But one thing that a lot of people may not realize is that there are many people that choose to live downtown that actually don't work downtown. They reverse commute. They go out to the different parts of the region and the county with their own jobs. So it is truly a quality of life aspect that I think very much responsible for the fact that growth in the number of residents have gone over the last 10, 15 years from, let's say, in the 2,500 to 3,000 residents, if you don't count the jail, for example. We have then to now it's approaching 15,000 residents in a relatively short period of time. And we hear over and over again what Craig just said. I want to live downtown because of the things that are downtown.
And they can walk everywhere.
And they can walk to those
different
things.
venues.
Oh, yeah.
Craig, talk a little bit about our Pittsburghers. So when your conventions come into downtown, whether they go to Convention Center or some of our great hotels, do Pittsburghers act welcoming to our visitors, whether they be Anthropon or Anthropon or some of the other visitors that we have throughout the year?
So, just using the PCMA example, we had 4,000 people, the vast majority from which had never been to the city before. That was the one thing that was this woven into their comments about their experience in Pittsburgh, was just how friendly and authentic local Pittsburghers are. And there's a joke around here, and it's not a joke. It's that if somebody looks lost, and I've seen it myself, people will stop them in the street and they'll ask them, "Can I help you find something?" And then they'll go the step further. They'll actually walk them to wherever they're supposed to go.
I've seen that myself, exactly.
That is something that is very unique to Pittsburgh.
Doesn't happen in other cities, at least the ones that I'm familiar with.
They'll give you directions in other cities, but they'll not take you there. That's really rare. But the genuine, just the welcoming persona that Pittsburghers have towards people that visit is what keeps them coming back. I think that's our secret sauce.
So one of the things we haven't talked about, because most people think of Pittsburgh, they think of the sports town. We're obviously our three great sports teams and our collegiate teams that do very well. How do we compare the arts to sports? Do they compete with each other? Is it complementary to each other? Is there so many dollars to go around, or is it something, again, that grows the pie, as you mentioned before?
Well, Craig, you probably have a view on this, but I think it's very much complementary. I mean, we have great working relationships at the Cultural Trust with all the professional sports teams and the collegiate teams. There is absolutely an enormous amount of overlap in those two constituencies. And I think that in fairness to everyone, it is the mix of all of those wonderful attributes that we have that really make Pittsburgh a great town.
It's that quality of life that we're selling for whatever you want to
I
do.
completely agree with you, Kevin. I think that there are very few people that come here just to go to a Steelers game, and thank God for the three big franchises and all the collegiate sports, because they bring in a tremendous amount of visitation and people from Pittsburgh to come downtown, spend a lot of money, and it's just a wonderful thing that makes us unique. But from that standpoint, we have a bunch of people that are coming in that will go to a game, but they're also going to hit a museum or an arts and culture venue. People have a diversity of tastes, and I think it's reflected in the way that they travel. So that's why I think Pittsburgh is something very, very special in that they have a diversity. You don't come just to go to a football game or come just to go to a play. There are other things, especially a visitor. They have an itinerary that's full of some very different things, and that, I think, that's where we score very high.
Okay, so staying with the sports analogy, you just hit a home run with Hamilton, drawing that into time. But you just hit a home run, too, a month or so ago when you hosted a number of NCAA championships and tournaments throughout this region. And that was a big marketing win for Visit Pittsburgh, or for the whole region. And congratulations that you did this. Talk a little bit about who came here, which venues they used. Was it just downtown, or was it some of the other venues throughout the region?
Well, just to take it back a couple of years, in 2017, Pittsburgh was awarded, and Allegheny County was awarded 22 different NCAA events in the next 4 years. So we're in the process of actually activating those and have them coming in. So, we started out, we always get men's basketball. That is a tremendous success in Pittsburgh, but we brought the D2 and the D3 championships in just a couple months ago to tremendous success. And remember, these athletes, it's not like a D1 school. They don't get treated quite the same. And Pittsburgh really rolled out the red carpet for them and gave them an experience that they hadn't had in other cities. And I think that the city and the community really knocked it out of the park. Coming up in a couple months, in March, is the wrestling championships, which next to the men's basketball Final Four is the second most popular NCAA event. In Pittsburgh, that's going to be the hottest ticket in town. I have so many of my friends and colleagues are calling me and saying, I need wrestling tickets. I got nothing for you because...
That's what when they couldn't
they're-
get Hamilton tickets.
Yeah, they could, just say you can go to wrestling.
Go to wrestling.
Now, where would that be held? Which venue?
Well, the PPG Paints Arena
Okay.
is where it's being held. But to your earlier point, the D2 and D3, they're held in Shenley Park. We've done different deals with different colleges around the area, not just in Allegheny County. So that was a big thing, is that Pittsburgh reached out to our neighbors in other counties and said, we want to hold something in a D2 or D3 arena in yours. And so a lot of this is not actually taking place in Allegheny County. And that's what we want. We want to present a region and Western Pennsylvania as a whole. And the NCAA really responded well to it. So, we're going to enjoy the fruits of this labor over the next couple of years. We're going to have the men's Frozen Four coming in. We're going to have women's volleyball, women's basketball. We're going to have a lot of different great events that are coming in the next little while.
So it looks like what we do is you have a lot of partners that help.
Oh,
You say these other universities, not just obviously Pitt and CMU, but I guess Duquesne, Robert Morris,
Yes.
all of our great universities that participate. And I think that's one of the secret sauces about Pitt, the partnerships
It is.
that we have with the private sector, the public sector,
Yes.
organizations like yourselves, and how we do that. Talk a little bit about some of the economic impact that your organizations bring to, you mentioned Hamilton, you talked a little bit about the amusement tax and some other things. And broaden that out, Kevin, if you can, about what the impact can be. The arts.
The Pittsburgh Arts Council annually puts out an overview, Rich, of some of their statistics, and they are fascinating. The total economic impact just in Allegheny County alone from arts and culture is about $2.4 billion with a B, $billion. There are more than 18,000 people working in the arts and cultural atmosphere, if you will, and related jobs in Allegheny County. These are significant numbers. We see the tax revenue. I know all of our public leaders are always interested in that. $115 million in generated tax revenue from arts and cultural activities and their various employees. So these are pretty big numbers. I think in general, we see that continuing to grow over a period of time. It's one of the growth industries, if you will, in our region.
And Craig, you talk about a little bit about, and we've seen a lot of hotels built over the last number of years, and look, people really are bullish on the tourism industry in Pittsburgh and how people are coming in, visiting at conventions, visiting families, sports, cultural, all the things that we have. Talk a little bit about that economic impact.
Sure. Well, over the last, you said it best that you've seen a lot of hotels pop up in Allegheny County in the last little while. Over the last 4 years, we've added about 6,000 rooms to our inventory, which is significant. And so the last time these statistics were done were in 2017, and there was 11.5 million overnight stays that took place then. The total economic impact is about $6 billion and employs about 40,000 directly through the tourism industry, and that's a really big number. That's something that's significant to talk about Pittsburgh, because a lot of people that live here may not know that we're actually one of the bigger tourism destinations in the United States. And that, I think, speaks very well for who we are. But just to, even if we're talking about Allegheny County taxes, about $700 million in Allegheny County taxes were derived from that. So it's big business in this particular part of the world.
And then the other thing is we see Pittsburgh's vibrancy now and get kind of more jobs out here than we have people to fill them. When visitors come here, we like them to stay. So if these young D2, D3 athletes who are going to be graduating college in the next year or two like what they see, there's a good opportunity that they make it back.
We kind of look at this as the very first line of defense. I have a daughter in college. I would have never sent her to Louisville, to the University of Louisville, if I didn't go and visit Louisville first and love the place and know that it's safe enough and that I'm going to send my daughter there. Same thing happens. That first visit into Pittsburgh says it all. You're going to decide as to whether you're going to relocate, you're going to send your kid here, maybe relocate your business here or yourself. And that first visit and the experience that they have with our locals is incredibly important to our overall economic picture.
Because people, we all know this, people can choose now where they want to live. Yes, a job is important, but increasingly businesses decide where they want to be located. They can be located in many different places, as we know, and I think that place, that what is experienced there, as Craig just said, is critically important to our future.
And when I think about, you mentioned 18,000, you mentioned 40,000.
Yeah.
That would have been the size of a number of factories years ago. So as we wrap up, what I'd like you to tell us are some of the big events that people can look forward to in the coming year. What big conventions you have, or what big events, Kevin, you see in the cultural district?
Well, certainly, since we were talking about blockbusters, Phantom is on its way back, and
When is that coming?
That's coming again. I think it might be the 6th or 7th time it's been in the Pittsburgh market, and it's almost sold out. But there are still some tickets around for that. So that's one of the big blockbusters. The two large shows that are really my favorites out of last year's big Broadway season are Come From Away, which is a beautiful, beautiful story, musical, and then the Tony Award-winning show Dear Evan Hansen is we're bringing in the late spring. Two really big shows, but of course we have dance, we have the Arts Festival coming up in June, and the Jazz Festival is coming up in the spring, Children's Theater Festival coming up in the spring, and on and on.
Then you have gallery crawls.
With gallery crawls
How often
every
do they
quarterly,
occur?
every
Every
quarter.
quarter.
A lot of people want us to do that every week and every month. We're doing it every quarter, but so we'll see another one of those in the spring.
Okay, and which conventions should we be looking forward to this spring and summer coming up, Craig?
Coming up almost right away are the National Council of Teachers of English, which is a big international conference that's coming to Pittsburgh. After that, I mentioned the wrestling championships, the D1 wrestling championships in March. As I said, that's going to be a very impactful week. Of course, our friends the Furries are coming back in July. This is going to be their 12th straight year here. It grows and grows every year. We're happy to have them during July 4th. A local association called the Association for Iron and Steel Technology will be coming here in May, which is a big deal. We get them every 2 or 3 years. They're an incredible repeat customer for us. We're glad to have them. And then, we have a lot of different sporting events that are coming in through NCAA and different junior athletic and other types of events that are coming in. So we have volleyball, we have baseball, and other types of amateur events that are going to be coming in. Always have hockey in town. So we're going to have actually a very fruitful year this year.
Wow, sounds like a good year, and I'm lucky to be part of it. I'm lucky to see these guys, great partners that help bring economic vitality, help provide jobs, help provide opportunities for all of our people. So I guess that's our signal to wrap up. They're bringing the food here at Molinarios in Market Square. I'm so privileged to be, have great partners like Kevin and Craig who add to the vitality and opportunities and the great things that are happening here in Pittsburgh and in the region. So thank you all for being with us. Thank you two guys.
Thank you very much. It's great.
Thanks, Rich.
Oh, that's good.